So you ask where my head was, thinking it's in Italy? No. I've got a trip to Northern Virginia, a weekend. Reverend George is going to speak for a memorial service for my former associate minister. And I'm going to be staying with dear, dear friends, and which I'm really looking forward to. And it's kind of bittersweet because they're getting up in their years, and all this stuff kind of flows through my head. You don't know when you're young what exactly tomorrow may bring. We have our dreams and we have our fantasies. My grandfather, who I love dearly, would babysit us, keep me and my sisters during the day while my parents went to work. And then they would pick us up and we would go to our little cracker box house, is what I called it, a cracker box. And he would make us take a nap after lunch. Oh, I hated that, So we would go up to my two aunts, their bedroom, two twin beds, and they had a bookcase for a headboard. One kept Phenamint. Learned my lesson there. It's not chewing gum. And the other had a radio. And so we would turn it on and it would play music. And I remember asking my older sister, how does it do that? And she said to me, well, they're little men inside this box. And I was what, 4 or 5 years old? How do they get in there? What do they eat? I was thinking and believing anything is possible. This whole week, I have had my head in possibilities and realities that are taking place. And it got triggered last Saturday when a dear friend of mine, John Peterson, who is a futurist, he founded the Arlington Institute think tank. And John is out there. Let me tell you, he's out there. And so he was giving a seminar on the shift that's taking place now in our evolution. And so I decided I'm going to sit in on this. I have got 3 pages of notes, and that's just from part 2. I missed part 1, part 2. And some of the stuff that he said is really, really challenging to me. So I thought I'd share my challenge with you guys. He says we're really in between 2 eras. And he said this is being driven by climate, extraterrestrial information, and the third one is, hang on, there's so much, of course, artificial intelligence. He said it's a fork in the road, and he said it's really a question of freedom or control. And he talked a lot about what he called technocracy. Technocracy. Okay. In 2005, I'm going to look at my notes because I want to make sure I get this right. In 2005, there was a nanochip that was implanted in a mouse. A nanochip in the brain of a mouse. And a nanochip is like a pinpoint, even smaller, like a speck of pepper, perhaps. And he said this super mouse was more aggressive, non-tiring, more sex, and didn't get fat. Oh, Zimbeck. The ramifications of this, if you think about it, and he did mention this, think of our military. Think of our soldiers. Think of how our technology is impacting our humanity. Okay. He also said there are 1,500 underground cities in the world. Did you know that? Sure, everybody knows that, right? 1,500 underground cities. He also said there's more classified data than unclassified data. Pretty interesting. This borders on conspiracy. You can see why my head has just been boom, boom, back and forth, you know. Elon Musk, with his Neuralink, when he first founded that, he said the intention was to merge the human brain with technology. And what this would do for us is awaken our dormant DNA cells, and we could connect to the cloud, and we would become human walking computers. You know, think how often you pick up Google, Wikipedia. Make that technology obsolete. You know, I've got it right up here. Mind-blowing. Okay. Humans being integrated into technology for several reasons. The bad news, humans lose independence and become energy sources for artificial intelligence. I didn't know this, but I read this long article about artificial intelligence, and it sucks electricity more than a city. It takes it. So if humans are integrated with artificial intelligence, we also become energy sources. And our brains, as I said, become linked to the cloud. The good news is we're part of this evolutionary leap, and we have access to information and capabilities that have been repressed in us. We become superhumans. Isn't that something? We don't get tired, we don't get fat, and we have more sex. Okay. All right. We develop a higher level of consciousness. And there, as a result, a dramatic change in our outlook on life. We know we're spiritual beings, right? And we know we have the power to change our life and to live in freedom. And yet, so often, because of our conditioning and because of our past and our human limitations, we don't claim it. We don't claim it. Therefore, our outlook can look like that, when really it's infinite. Also, as a result of these latent abilities coming to fruition, we can engage with our cosmic neighbors. Think about that. Now, I'm not asking you to believe this. I'm just reporting what was in this seminar. So I'm not going to go too far into the ETs, okay? The whole purpose of this shift is the rapid expansion of consciousness. Everything is accessible, past and present, and time will not be viewed as we currently view it. The thing that's probably got me rattled the most is he said this shift is coming, we're in the middle of it, 27 to 29. These are crucial times. Okay. He said the old system that we've been living with needs to be released. And things need to happen. The elevation of women, the elevation of the meek and humble, the protection of the rights of men. In other words, we need to return to some respect and less competition. And he talked a lot about, he's a ham radio guy, I know several of you here are, and he said in order to broadcast and receive, you have to be on a certain frequency. For us to be able to rise to this opportunity, we have to be on the frequency of love. Compassion, cooperation, forgiveness when it's called for. We have to be the people that we know we can be. We have to. Otherwise, we're going to be so confused and lost, and we'll call it April when it's October, you know. Meditation. So here's the way I see it. There is only one presence and one power, and that's the divine presence. So it doesn't matter what we're able to do. Oh, here's another little interesting fact. There was a doctor in France who put an artificial heart into a man. He lived and went on home. Now we can have an artificial hip, an artificial knee, an artificial ankle. We can have artificial stuff. But a heart? Interesting. And what about a brain? Think about it. Nanotechnology. So, simplify your life. Simplify your life. Meditate. Spend time in the quiet, in the silence, in nature. Peace, be still, and know I am God in expression. When all of these things are taking place, develop an attitude. I'm encouraging myself. Well, isn't that interesting? No judgment, no anything. Neuralinks, in addition to merging the human brain with technology, is for the benefit of bringing healing. With nano implants, they can work on obesity, they can work on depression, many different things. As a matter of fact, in February of this year, a nano chip was implanted into a person's brain. And that nano chip, which was implanted by another robot, doesn't that freak you out? Allowed the person to just think about moving a computer mouse, and the mouse moved. Think about if you were a quadriplegic person, and just with your thoughts, you could operate that computer. So it's a brave new world we're headed into. And as much as I long for the days when I believed little men were in a radio producing music, those days are gone. But not the simplicity, not the childlike wonder, I can create that myself, and it doesn't take technology. It just takes my willingness to connect with the one presence and one power. Simplify, spend time in nature, and meditate. Those are my 3 key things. Okay, you want to know how the first human patient implanted with a brain chip is able to control a computer mouse using only thoughts. Implanted in the brain by a robot, chips implanted may be used to treat obesity, autism, depression, and schizophrenia. Each wireless device contains a chip, an electrode arrays of more than 1,000 super thin, flexible conductors that a surgical robot threads into the cortex, cerebral cortex, where they register thoughts of motion. That's how they do it. All these little false Neuralinks. Pretty interesting stuff to me. And here's another thought. Once something becomes useful enough and common enough, it is not called artificial intelligence anymore. We take it for granted. The issues with artificial intelligence: loss of privacy. And that's already happened. We may think so. I remember I belonged to a cohort group of CEOs in Kansas City. And they brought in a cybersecurity person. And he said, your cell phone is always listening. Always listening. Even when you turn it off. Whoa, that data is being collected and stored somewhere. This is freaky stuff. I thought I'd really entertain you with this today, right? And they're probably gonna bolt from the building. Okay. We've become a surveillance society. And not only that, not everybody has the best intentions. We all know about artificial intelligence and fraud. Hi, Grandma. I'm sorry, I'm stuck. Can you send me some money? Using my own voice, which is collected when we least expect it. All right. Machine learning is not well suited to help make decisions in areas where there is hope for the future to be better than the past. It is descriptive rather than prescriptive. In other words, a robot cannot imagine the future. It can only report on what is, and maybe mathematically give a probability. A robot does not have an intuition to receive guidance from the one presence and the one power. A robot, in my humble opinion, will never replace us, ever, because we have a heart, and it's not mechanical. It's a real heart, and the heart knows. The heart knows before the brain knows, and that's been proven in heart math. When you feel it in your heart, that's information from the divine source. And there's nothing artificial about it. Okay, let's see what else. Practice discernment. Seriously, if you've got a negative thought that's popping in your head, take a good look at it. Honor your intuitive knowing. Fact check your thoughts, especially negative ones. Keep it simple. Avoid rabbit holes of conspiracy thinking. I've been down so many rabbit holes this past week. Unplug. Okay. People are worried that artificial intelligence will replace all of our jobs. Some jobs may be replaced. It was mentioned a paralegal or a fast food cook. But jobs that'll be more in demand are those that involve loving and caring. And I am relieved to say clergy was part of that. Actually mentioned. So, okay. All of this stuff on the horizon, or not, one thing will never change, and that's that we are spiritual beings. And this is just part of our human experience. It has no power over us. And technology, I remember I resisted having a microwave for so long. Just didn't want any part of it. There are good things about technology, but there are also unintended consequences. And that's true with anything. If you want a crystal ball, look in here. Look in here. I think that's it. I'm waiting for my nano chip to tell me to sit down and shut up.